Welcome back, my beautiful people. Back to Dong City, May 10th, 2021, episode 59. I had to really reach for this one. I'm not going Carlos Carrasco. I'm going Jose Bautista. When he was with the Tampa Bay Rays, number 59. These numbers are getting harder and harder to go to. So I don't know. Vince, what's going on, brother?
Disgusting. No, nothing good now. How are you? Jose Bautista on the Rays, huh?
Doing good.
Disgusting. Nothing good now. How are you?
There we go.
So, yeah. Well, thank you. 59, not an easy one to find.
No, not at all. Like I said, the best historical one was Carlos Carrasco, and I was like, not yet.
Yeah, no. Batista's the better choice out of those two.
Yeah.
Nothing much going on. I'm running through my vaccination timeline until I'm good to go completely in that 2-week time frame. I think I'm on day 11 now, so we're almost there. And
no zombie breakouts, no
third arm or anything like that yet.
Third leg.
Yeah, we'll see. I didn't get Johnson & Johnson, so it's probably just not going to be an exciting, thing. But I had like no repercussions either. So
are you still a white male? I mean,
I was out in the sun again, and I feel like it did nothing this time. But this might be where I max out. But how are you? How's everything on your end over in New York?
Everything is good over here in New York. Mother's Day, we had a nice little Mother's Day celebration on Baseball Life and all our groups yesterday. Good day to all of our mothers tuning in. Happy belated Mother's Day to you, ladies.
Yes.
Fathers, we're coming in June.
That's right. We are 1 month out now from celebrating the fathers. We've got Jake Hibbert starting early with mentioning the Cubs right off the bat.
We won't say fur fathers, because apparently that was a hot topic in one of the groups.
Big debate in the life groups. You cannot say fur fathers. That is illegal now. So, yeah, I will not be celebrated at all on Father's Day with I can't circumvent the system, apparently.
I tell you, some of the best debates happen on the most obscure posts. It's amazing.
They do. They get some traction you just don't expect. Baseball Life included. We get a lot of weird shit.
Ton of weird shit.
I was accused of hiding all year long, so that might be the weirdest thing I've heard yet this entire season.
What was I called one time? Right-leaning homophobe, was it?
Yeah. Well, you're alt-right. Yeah. Which is, you get it from both sides.
Yeah, I get it from both
right sides. Or like a bleeding heart liberal. You can't.
It tells me I'm doing something right if both sides equally hate me.
Yeah. But I was told that I've been ducking all season while the Yankees were struggling, which is, I can't think of anything more opposite if I had tried. And let's get right into our little first segment here. That is the boring COVID update. This one's actually kind of exciting because it doesn't involve players, because of course this is now almost a thing of the past. Teams like the Yankees and Tigers, 85% vaccinated, so it really is basically a thing of the past.
They won't know those extra perks that come with being 85% or more.
Yeah, I wish it was steroids, but that hasn't been the case yet. Yankee Stadium offering free vaccine. Obviously, Johnson & Johnson is the preference over in New York. And with that, and offering a free game if you get vaccinated. So there's a perk to add it on top of your free Krispy Kreme donut every day for the rest of the year.
Let me tell you, outside of Yankee Stadium, there is 2 vans that will give you a COVID test, and there's mobile vaccination sites that have nothing to do with Yankee Stadiums. There's a City MD across the street. I don't know, man. I'm not crazy about offering vaccines. Offering tickets for people to get a vaccination.
I love it. They should incentivize every way that they can.
Yeah, it blurs that line for me. I get the one where we're offering tourists the vaccines. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
But Yankee Stadium is.
Does it make a difference to you that Pfizer is now FDA approved as of like a few hours ago?
Is it?
Yep. They did. Well, they just said they're going to grant approval to it.
Yeah, I've been on the fence with this.
I know. Yeah, you are way less of a sucker than me. I was like, Florida's allowing 18 plus. I got it within the first hour.
I'm still taking my daily rapid tests to get into the stadium to have fun as I did the other day. So
Yeah, never, for the record, never got tested for COVID the entire time. Never had to, never felt a reason to, never had symptoms to do it,
some
nothing.
people are posting, still pulling positive antibody results a year plus later.
Yeah, some people just never run out of their post-COVID repercussions.
I always thought that I was Superman, but I really think I am Superman now. It's
You're,
a year
you're,
later, bro, and I still have antibodies.
we don't have a pop culture podcast, but Venom Ultimate Carnage is coming out. I think your DNA might have completely changed into something else now. So we'll have to monitor that Henry's DNA going forward. We'll see what it turns into. Let's get here into our first segment here. That's real baseball, and that is we had a perfect game that wasn't. In my mind, this is the second one I would categorize as a perfect game that wasn't. One was Galarraga's perfect game that he was robbed of on the final out on a bad call, because that legitimately is a perfect game if it's called correctly. #RobotUmps. This one, John Means of the Orioles, the first no-hitter for the Orioles in like 40 years or something nuts, and he has a perfect game, if not for. That's the final out. So that's the final out of the non-perfect game. A wild pitch, a drop third strike, Henry. The only thing that separated them, he's the first pitcher in the history of baseball to have a no-hitter that did not include an extra batter, an error, or a walk.
We got 27 outs.
Yep, 27 outs. The only guy who reached was on a drop third strike, and he was caught stealing. So he is the first player ever to accomplish that feat.
Yeah, it was nuts. I don't necessarily agree with you. The Andres Galarraga one, I agree there. That was just human error. What we saw the other day was an actual baseball play. So I'm okay with that. It's just one of those things that happen on the field of play. The Galarraga one is just, Jim Joyce botching it. It was just human error.
Well, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying Means deserved a perfect game. In fact, if you take my take on the Bumgarner no-hitter that wasn't, I'm very much against things just being credited to people because we want them to be. I don't think Means should get credit for a perfect game. I do think, though, that's as close to a perfect game as you can get, and he deserves to be at least recognized for that.
It was amazing to watch, and we've seen what's that, the fourth, fifth, if you include Bumgarner's no-hitter. It just goes to tell you how hard no-hitters are. Perfect games are, because anything can happen like that.
It's got to be perfect. Yeah.
Tim Kirchin always said he loved baseball because on any given day, something can happen that you've never seen. And I sit there and I'm thinking, damn, almost everything has happened in baseball. Boom, something that you can't possibly think could happen has happened, and John Means loses his perfect game because of it.
Yeah, and if you only looked at opening weekend starts when Means flat out, dominated the Red Sox at Fenway. And now what we know, a very, very good Red Sox offense. You could have predicted he might be throwing a no-hitter this season, and then he did.
Looks damn
good for him. Does it bother you at all being a Yankee fan now? We're at 20 years, no-hitters, and it seems so easy nowadays.
No, because that's just the way it is. And then it'll be some fucking scrub spot start Michael King that does it for us when it happens.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that Michael King is a scrub, but he's not the guy like, who's going to do it? You're going to think Cole's going to do it. Severino's going to do it. You're going to think one of the big guys. It's going to be some random dude who just...
like Jordan Montgomery will, throwing out there. I absolutely agree. So Means that close. Didn't quite pull it off, but he gets the no-hitter.
Great. I was hoping he got it, man. It would have been nice to see. And
yeah, it would have been. I'm almost at the point now where I'm like anti no-hitter because I'm tired of them happening so often. I don't blame, obviously, the pitchers. I don't even really blame the hitters, even though you can make an argument for that. I really just blame the way MLB is designed. It's just making it easy to throw no-hitters.
I tell you, fans wanted less home runs. They played with the balls. They doctored the balls. They changed the baseballs. This is what you're going to get. You're going to get guys that are no name brand guys, no frills pitchers throwing no hitters. This is what you're going to get. You got to pick your poison here.
Yeah, and it's absolutely true. You could see the ball deflation impact. Definitely balls that were last 2 years. I distinctly remember seeing balls hit and thinking like that's not going to go, and it'd be like 10 rows into the seats. This year they're hitting them, and sometimes I'm like, he crushed it and it died at the warning track.
There's been
Definite
at least
difference.
10 baseballs that I've watched live that I'm like, holy shit, that's gone. And it's like warning track. And I'm like, no way.
Yeah, I conspiracy theory, the first few weeks of the Yankees season, I really think that was one of the factors, is that they weren't getting the 2 or 3 home runs a game because they're not going as far. They didn't have a strikeout problem compared to other teams. They had a contact problem in that they weren't hitting the ball hard enough. I think that was part of it. Anything that they did hit hard was just becoming a lazy fly.
Like I've been saying, MLB has a problem. They want shorter games, but they want more offense. You can't have both.
Yeah, no, absolutely. They've got to find a line. I don't agree with the way that they're going about it. Speaking of finding lines, these two teams crossed it. We had our Yankees Astros showdown. Now, this was obviously my favorite series of the entire week. Fans have waited 2 years for this to happen. It was the Astros return to the Bronx against the Yankees with fans, not complete fans, some fans, but the some fans brought it. Rob, do we have audio from some of the crowd interaction for that series?
Yes, I do. Just give me a second. I'll put it up.
PG
So
crowd for years.
This was an entertaining series in total. I don't know how many of you were able to watch it. Yankees take 2 out of 3. They won the first 2. Astros win the last one. Jose Altuve hits a home run on his birthday that basically clinches the game. But Altuve was god-awful until that game, the first 2 games of that series. And here we go. So this was to start the series.
Batting practice. Where's the audio, Rob?
Yeah, we don't have audio on this, but
yeah, one job.
Weak audio. I don't like it. What you were at this game, right, Henry?
I was at game 2. Game 1 made me jealous. I was at home watching game 1, and I was jealous. I was ready to just hop on my motorcycle, head over to Yankee Stadium, and just be outside screaming like "fuck Altuve" and "you're a cheater." They were yelling to Yuli Gurriel, "You're a racist." I just wanted to be in the atmosphere. Being home watching the game was crazy. I did go to game 2. I didn't think it was going to be as crazy, and I was wrong. It was just as crazy. Well, here we go. Let's see what we got here.
This is a much louder one. This is during the game.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, Altuve seemed to have gotten it the worst. There was a moment in game 2. I'm sitting in the stands with one of my closest friends. I'm sitting there with Hardy, and we're looking at the score, and I say, it's the 8th inning. I said, if the Yankees put up 2 more runs here, we take a 3-run lead. Going into the 9th, it's still a save situation. I know you didn't agree with me. I know a lot of people didn't agree with me. I'm sitting at the stadium. I said, it's a 3-run lead. You have Correa coming up second. I said, if you get Alvarez out with at the first batter, you're clear. If you're Chapman, you are clear to hit Correa. Absolutely clear. Instead, he strikes him out embarrassingly, and I'm like livid. I'm pissed because Chapman is not going to get another opportunity to hit this guy this year. We played them again. We played them in Houston. It's not going to be the same. They hit 2 of our players in that game on top of everything that happened. Look, if you're going to protect your team, that was the time to do it. I was all about Chapman throwing that Correa. Hit him. Don't go headhunting. Hit him in the ribs. Throw at his backside. Throw at his legs. He needed to hit Correa there, in my opinion.
I'm always in support of vigilance. I would have been okay with hitting a player, just not in that first series. Yankees, by the way, need to start winning these games, and they have. Credit to them. They have won, I think, 4 series in a row and tied one of them. In my mind, sweep them. That was what I wanted. Like, that was my form of revenge. Show them that in 2021, you are the better team, and there's nothing they can do cheating-wise this time around to change that. They take the first 2, and they have Garrett Cole pitching in the finale, and they lose that one. Basically, the first bullpen meltdown of the entire season. Astros salvage one. So that's the part that annoyed me. But as far as hitting batters, I didn't care. I did not want. I wanted to win those games.
This is why you're white and I'm Puerto Rican. I'm petty. I wanted them to hit him. I wanted a fight. I wanted Chapman to beat the shit out of somebody. Chapman is like 300 pounds of muscle this year. I wanted judging. I wanted drama.
I don't even want that stuff because from an MLB standpoint, we know how it's going to play out. We know Chapman's going to get suspended for like 15 games. We know that Altuve's going to get a fine. We know that Bregman's going to get like a stern talking to. They're going to like hit him on the wrist a little bit, and the Yankees are going to get fucked. That's what happens every single time in these situations. So I don't need it. Take the Rays, for example. The Rays hit DJ LeMahieu, and then they brush him up and in near the head. The Yankees then hit one batter the next game. Chapman gets suspended because Kevin Cash throws a tantrum. That was it. And Kevin Cash threatens the entire team with a stable of 98 comments. Nothing.
If
no one gets
suspended. Got 2 games. It's totally worth hitting Correa.
He would be a repeat offender. If Chapman hit a batter, I guarantee you he gets more than 5 games.
I absolutely knew that Garrett Cole was not going to hit somebody the next day. He was not going to hit his former teammates.
You know, Matt, in your comment there, look, if Chapman brought a gun onto the field, then I'd be okay with it if he did not hit anyone. That was that incident.
Well, we know he's a bad shot.
Yeah. He wants to fire a gun in the air. That's a very Texan thing to do. I think Houston would have liked that. But yeah, so it just an electric series. Rob, you had some other chants you wanted to talk about. What did you hear watching that series?
Yeah, I heard over the radio. I think Susan Waldman was said something about that. It was one of the newer players of the Astros getting up at the plate. And basically, the Yankees had no idea who he was, so they basically chanted, "We don't know you."
Wait! I forgot. How could I forget my favorite chant? Because the minute it happened, I was telling you guys, the "suck my dick" chant.
That's right. I did hear that.
Suck my dick chant on Tuesday. That was the first game. Made my day. I'm telling you, Tuesday's game made me hype. I wanted to go to the stadium. I wanted to fight somebody wearing an Astros uniform.
So the Yankees defense MVP of the series, the Yankees offense MVP of the series, the Yankees MVP of the series, the starting pitching MVP of the series, LVP of this entire series, the fans, the biggest MVP of the series. The worst part of this entire series was Michael Kay. Just by every take he had, he's like, they're not giving it to Yuli, but they're giving it to everyone. They chanted, you heard it as well as I, they chanted, "You're racist" for his entire first game.
It's funny to me because some of the guys in the baseball group didn't know what the hell they were talking about. I'm like, everything they fucking do goes under the rug. I
have to bust out that picture every so often to remind people, hey, the Astros are despicable far beyond cheating. Yeah, they've got to be reminded. But Michael Kay, this entire, we can't repeat what they're saying. Like, shut up. Just know your fan base, dude. They've been
come on. I'm telling you, yo, look, in New York, we need a ghetto news network. I keep telling you guys, we need a ghetto news network. We need guys, we need the weatherman dressed up in a bubble coat with Timbs and a hat.
It's just a pair of Timbs.
When it's cold, you just see a fucking brick on the screen. I need yours in the morning. I need a ghetto news network. That shit'll rock. I'm telling you.
Yeah, it's a very enjoyable series. We have some highlights from it as well. This is the play that decided the first game. A little resident rat, Alex Bregman, which rats were a big theme in New York this week. Here's DJ, bases loaded, tie game, I believe. That's Bregman throwing it somewhere. Yuli, by the way, just doesn't come off the base for this, which cracks me up. And then he throws home and everyone dies. I mean, everyone dies. If you look closely, so Martin Maldonado faking it. He comes back like 2 games later, no concussion, nothing. He's obviously just, a coward. Odor earned it. He goes on the IL. He actually hurt himself and nothing broken, fortunately for him. But there's Maldonado lying there in pain, presumably.
That's my cousin.
The best part, we could laugh about it now because everyone's relatively okay. The best part about this, if you zoom in, I don't think we have it on here. If you zoom in close enough, Odor, as he's flying through the air, throws a little punch right at the umpire's dick. So it's actually 3 different guys taken out on one play. 3 runs score on that error, by the way. It would have been 1 if Bregman throws it anywhere in the vicinity of Gurriel. Gurriel, kind of just doesn't come off the bag. And credit to the Yankees for hustling. Odor, again, I've said this before, not a very good baseball player, not a very good hitter, but the man is a gamer. He plays his ass off. He had a great defensive play earlier in that game.
He did.
And he's got some clutch hits.
We're good, Rob. No, Odor's been weird, man. He's not a good baseball player anymore, but I think every hit has been a big hit.
Yeah, he's got, I think,
Guys,
5 game tying or go ahead hits as a Yankee. He's been a Yankee for like less than a month. So
yeah, he's been I don't get it. He's just, you got to get in his head and just tell him every situation is like an on the game, a high level situation, and he'll come through.
And I think only one of them's a home run too. So it just goes against his complete batting profile.
When that collision happened, I'm like, there's no way Maldonado doesn't have a concussion, bro. His fucking helmet flew off. He got
I thought he got knocked out. Yeah.
He's on my fantasy team. I was like, damn, IL. And the dude is back 2 days later. Just goes to show you the strength of the Maldonados, baby.
Yeah, I'm being, I don't think my facetiousness is coming across necessarily in the comment section. I'm being mostly sarcastic. Obviously, Maldonado didn't fake that he got hurt, but he did not go on the IL, which is great for him. I thought like
Maldonado don't go on the IL, damn it.
When I saw the play, I thought he got knocked out, and I thought he had a concussion among other injuries. I didn't realize, he dodged a bullet, put it that way.
It's funny because he got a knee to the head, and Odor was the one that landed on the IL.
Yeah, well, that's a very Yankee thing to do. I'm noticing around like I see all these other injuries around baseball. I'm like, that be out a month there, and they come back. Jazz Chisholm, perfect example. I thought that dude was going to be out for like 2 months. He's coming back this weekend. He's been out 2 weeks.
I'm convinced you just try to. You're starting a streak. That's like 4 straight podcasts. You just need to say Jazz Chisholm.
every it's like your CC's. I'm just going to mention Jazz Chisholm every episode. But yeah, same thing.
But I just want to go back to my Chapman point, because this is where, and I'll say it again. Okay. If we had a CC Sabathia type player or CC Sabathia himself on the Yankees, Carlos Correa would be having stitches on his ribs from the baseball. This is where I pine and say, CC for Dong City. Every episode, I'm trying my hardest to get CC on this goddamn podcast. So like I said, that's a moment. If CC was the pitcher, he was the only guy we ever had that had some balls in the last 10, 20 years, CC would have hit his ass.
I will say this about the retaliation street style. Had the Astros come back and put that game away earlier, the finale game, like in the 5th inning instead of the 8th, I would have been all about destroying someone at that point. That was my point, though. I didn't want it to be a game. It has to be sometime when it's blowout one way or the other, and then he can hit him. And then I can hear all the Astros fans cry about how retaliating and hitting a player is exactly like a systematic cheating scandal. And then everything's identical and everyone's even, because that's what they do. But in a close game, I just wanted to win, and they did 2 out of 3, which, again, a little disappointing because Cole was pitching the finale and the bullpen failed him, but still, I'll take it.
We can't complain because the bullpen has been the best bullpen in baseball so far. So
right, yeah, it was a rare dust up. They had another one the next day, but then they won the next 2 games with dominant bullpen pitching. So what are you going to do? Yeah. Here we have one other highlight from this. Very cool. I have seen. I think we all, as if you're a Yankee or Phillies fan, you remember Johnny Damon in the World Series steals second, realizes no one's on third, so he steals third as well. Well, check this play out, Rob. You can roll it. This is Aaron Hicks up. You've got Gleyber Torres on first base now. Now, here's the play. He goes to second. No one's on third. He's going to go there. Correa's standing there like a complete asshole. No one's at home either. Yep. And all of a sudden, Gleyber's going to score. So Gleyber scores from first on an infield single because no one was covering third or home.
That's on the pitcher for sure.
And if you notice, Maldonado was back for the finale of this game and was not fast enough, obviously, to catch Gleyber there. So Gleyber, that's great baseline.
Yeah, Maldonado doing the right thing and covering third. The pitcher was just standing there holding his job. Like, you gotta cover home.
Yeah, very frustrating. Astros, like I said, won the game, but at the time, that was a big play. They cut the lead to 1 inning, was still going.
I'm laughing at Brian's comments.
Yeah, the open the letter one's my favorite because it recirculates every so often. And I've sent the quotes from that report already where you're not going to get anything we don't already know from that letter per sources who have seen the letter.
I told you why those posts don't work, bro. You have to shorten the length of the post.
Well, I can't help it if Texans can't read. That's not my responsibility.
You can't write a thesis to explain about the letter. Once you see more and they got to click the dots, they don't want to see that shit. You got to learn how to condense your thoughts.
There are 6 different quotes that say you are not going to get anything we don't already know from the letter.
Look, I am on the team open the letter bandwagon. Just open the letter so they can see there's nothing because
Me too. It was a stupid way to phrase it from the Yankee organization to make it seem like a bigger smoking gun, but I am 100% positive there will be nothing we haven't already heard in rumors about what the Yankees did. And I also guarantee 100% it will be nothing like what the Astros did. So it's a terrible argument based on hearsay. But anyway, those were my two, I think the two biggest plays of the series, just in terms of stuff you don't see very often. Bregman's 3-run error on the infield and Glaber scoring from first on an infield single. Very good. That leads us perfectly into our who's hot, who's not. Joey, if you're still watching, this is for you. We're going to start with who's hot, and that is the Mets clubhouse. So we had a weird scenario this week, and credit to the Mets at this point. Francisco Lindor probably gets his first major hit. He has a game-tying home run in the week. And we have this incident. Do we have any feed from what was going on with this Mets game?
Yeah, I heard this is where you got Michael Conforto walking to the dugout.
Yeah, looking high as hell.
My man just makes a beeline inside. He's like, "Oh shit! It's like high school. There's a fight. They fighting."
Yeah, this was exciting. This like got my adrenaline going when I saw it.
Look, this was dope. They ran inside. You know, the real story is there was a fight between Frankie.
Like they were just running with that with no proof whatsoever.
No, there was a fight. There was a fight between Frankie and Jeff McNeil, and then, you know, Frankie comes out with this bullshit story about they were debating whether they saw a New York City rat or a raccoon in the dugout, and the Mets kind of just ran with it. And I'm like, come on, man, just be honest and transparent with the shit. Look, Frankie's a guy that I love. Dude's always smiling. He's always having fun. Frankie reminded Jeff McNeil, you don't fuck with a Puerto Rican, man. He showed him real quick. That smile went to that. He did that Kanye West when Kanye like, and Frankie whooped that ass. And Jeff McNeil did have a little black eye. So he learned quick. And I'm sure, but you know what? This type of shit happens all the time in clubhouses and dugouts. Like we caught a glimpse of what was going on. This shit happens all the time. These guys, you know, spend more time with each other than they do their families. They'll be fine. You know, John Flaherty was talking about how him and Randy Johnson didn't get along and they came to, you know, blows a couple times. So this kind of stuff happens in clubhouses, and it's no surprise here. We just got to see it.
I think that, in a strange way, this could be good for Lindor. Show a little bit of balls. You've been struggling, obviously, to get acclimated into New York, both, I think, through the media as well as at the plate and, you know, your performance. Get into a little scuffle. Guy who's respected, Jeff McNeil on the Mets. Mets starting to play better. They were scuffling for a while. Now they've won a few in a row. So, yeah, I've got no problem.
I was never worried about Lindor. I keep telling people Lindor is an absolute superstar. He'll be fine. That transition from Cleveland to New York.
It's a big one.
And you have to be the guy here. In Cleveland, you had a ton of other stars. You are the man here. You got the contract. You got the first big contract from that owner. There's a lot of pressure. I think
it's the combination. You're coming from obscurity media-wise in Cleveland. Probably the second, maybe third best player on that team in terms of who's being paid attention to. You used to have a guy like Bauer taking the media attention away. You have a Hall of Fame manager in Francona over there. So there is a lot of defense for Francisco Lindor.
Have the real MVP at third base.
He signs the $300+ million contract before he plays a game. I mean, that's a big adjustment. It'd be a big adjustment if it wasn't Queens. If it was some other big market, it'd still be a big adjustment. But I do think this is the maximum adjustment.
You know when Lindor makes that change? When he starts hitting well and the media shows him that love, because New York media will crush you, but they will also show you love like no one else when you are that man, and Frankie is going to be that guy.
All right, A-Rod can tell you all about that. He had the highest of the highs and lowest of the lows with the Yankees. And
Johnson.
What'd you say?
I said, ask Randy Johnson. Remember his first day he pushed over
oh yeah.
border.
Randy Johnson, by all accounts, seems like a resident asshole. So I mean A-Rod might be too. I have no idea. But anyway, you're absolutely right. I mean, Lindor starts hitting, he starts get, Mets get hot a little bit, they get into a playoff hunt, they're complete 180. Other things that are hot, no hitters. So we mentioned Means wasn't even the only no hitter of this week. The other one belonging to Wade Miley on the Reds. So congratulations to Wade, yet another like journeyman pitcher who throws a no-hitter recently. If you love no-hitters, good for you. You got to see another one.
You know who else is scorching?
Who's that?
Blast from the past, Brandon Crawford.
How about like the entire Giants core? Buster Posey's hot. Evan Longoria started hot.
Brandon Crawford had 3 home runs, 8 RBI, had a 30% walk rate, and he's slugging 1077. He's just killing the ball this week.
Yeah, they've had a resurgence early. I don't know if it's going to last, but they're older guys who are not really that old. They're like in their early 30s are having a resurgence there over in San Francisco. It's nice to see someone challenging out west. And the Padres are too. It's just becoming a competitive division, which you never would have expected. Thought it was a 2-team race. So defense, Rob, I know we had a couple highlights here. Here's a guy who usually is maligned for his defense. This is Clint Frazier over in left field, Yankees Nationals. Yankees taking 2 out of 3 from this series as well. Even as Max Scherzer stomped all over their testicles for an entire day, the Yankees still won the game. Clint Frazier making a nice catch there. Again, not known for his defense. Left field in Yankee Stadium, a pretty difficult place to play. Opposite of right field.
Play that again. I want you to see something. I'm more impressed with the route than the actual dive. Rob, play that one more time. Watch the route. Look at the route he takes to this ball. That's what really impressed me. Right to the spot.
Yep.
That route was absolutely beautiful. The dive is phenomenal, but that route running to me is fantastic.
And he probably doesn't make the catch unless he takes a route like that. So that's the stuff you don't see necessarily live. You kind of have to go back and watch it. But here's the other big highlight for me defensively. This just happened last night, and it was very cool to see. Pedro Rio posted it.
It was so fun.
Yeah. This is Braves Phillies, and check out this play. It's hard to see in regular motion, but he's going to, here you go. He's going to make a behind. I mean, this is just a total stab in the dark, making that catch. And he makes it seem like he just knew it was going to happen. Like he wasn't just trying out of nowhere.
Remember a few years ago when Baez was already pointing, I think it was in the WBC, he caught a tag and he was pointing before the ball got there. If you look at that play again, the pitcher, as the ball's coming this way, he holds his glove. He's already facing second base because he knows he's throwing there before he catches the ball. That play was so badass.
Very, very impressive play. Braves win that game too. I don't think, though, that was the crazy game. I think that was the next day.
That was the next day.
Yeah, so Braves and Phillies just had a phenomenal – I don't know what it is about these weekend games, but – that one, Phillies took the lead, Braves tied it. Phillies took the lead by 3 in extra innings. Braves tied it. Braves walk off. Great game.
Yeah, I think like 4 weeks in a row now we have a series that have just encapsulated the entire weekend, and you just had great baseball.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dodgers, Padres. Last week it was Phillies, Mets. Yeah, it's just a lot of good baseball.
Yep. Yeah, so those were nice to see. Walk-offs. We've had a couple of teams, Yankees and Braves, known as, it's supposed to be contenders this year. Both had a ton of problems. Braves didn't have a hit in extra innings going into this weekend. Yankees didn't have a win, and the Yankees win back-to-back games on walk-offs. One was extra innings. The next one, they win the 9th on a walk-off. And the Braves not only have their first hit, they have their first extra inning win in the aforementioned game where they came back twice in extra innings to win that game against the Phillies. So they're off the hide there. They get their first 3 combined wins in walk-off fashion. Neither one had one, I don't think. And then, of course, we've got ML. Here it is. Nice. So this is one of them. This was the crazy game, and that was the walk-off. I love when they just give up on it. I mean, I know, there's nothing you can do, but it's just funny. Braves were, like I said, down 7-4 entering the 12th, bottom of the 12th. They come back for 4 in the 12th to win it after coming back in the 10th down a run to tie it. And they get their win there. And
they win and lose at the same time.
Yep. And last highlight or last thing to point out here for us hot, minor league baseball's back. It's been over a year. They didn't play at all last season. So far, a lot of guys just killing the ball. in the minors. I know in the Yankee system, I know other places too, but minor league baseball is back. You can finally tune into some of those games. If you're into following prospects, we'll actually know what kind of progress they're making. No more alternate site bullshit. So that's nice to see.
No, definitely. James posts a lot of the Yankee prospects who are just killing it in A-ball, and of course we're all overreacting, of course.
Yeah, hey, 10 games, good enough for me. Send him up. He's in high A-ball, but who cares? Yeah, so those are the who's hot. Now, who's not gonna go after MLB as I usually do here. And this is a follow-up to last week. We talked about the Reds-Cubs confrontation. I was very much on the side of the Reds in this case because I didn't understand why Baez was coming out of the dugout to begin with. And the aftermath, MLB was on the side of the Cubs. They suspended Amir Garrett for 7 games.
I don't like it.
He's a reliever, so we're probably talking about like 4 games he could have actually pitched. As opposed to a starter, you suspend them 7 games, you're missing 1 start. Pretty severe suspension. I guess he's a repeat offender. I don't know really what that has any bearing on this situation because he didn't even hit anyone. But he was suspended for inciting a riot, which is weird to me because Baez gets a fine even though he came out of the dugout threatening the other team. Apparently that's not inciting a riot.
2 weeks, you have 2 altercations with Puerto Ricans. I'm sensing a trend here.
Yeah, so
Some Puerto Rican this week is going to get into it with a player. You'll see.
This is a situation where I thought, first of all, I don't think either guy should be suspended. Like, no punches were thrown. There was no fight here. There's no reason to punish either one of them. They got hot. It's a passionate game. You want passion in the game, which is the whole thing we talked about last week. Well, let them play. You know, this is like a hockey fight. Like, if they just shove each other, you're suspending them. It makes no sense.
Let's be real. Baseball has the weakest fights. We've talked about this several times. Nothing happens. Fans comes in, dugouts come in, guys push each other. Yeah, Derek Jeter was famous for that shit. You know, never got into a fight. Look, I'm the Yankees. I got Aaron Judge. I got Luke Voigt. I got Stanton. I want to fight.
Yeah.
I want to fight.
Yeah. It's I'm with you, but in this case, there was no fight. There shouldn't have been any suspension. And then on top of it, you suspend Garrett for way longer than he deserved. He should have gotten like 2 or 3 games if he's going to get suspended. And then you don't suspend Baez at all. And if Baez doesn't come out of that dugout, there's nothing to talk about. So it's just a bizarre.
Who was it that I'm drawing a blank? Someone got suspended last week for 2 games for an incident. And I can't remember who it was. We talked about it last week. It wasn't the Baez incident. It was the.
I already forgot.
How was Alvarez? It happened against the Mets, I think.
Oh, the fat guy on the Phillies.
Yeah, he only got 2 games.
Alvarez.
Yeah.
He only got 2 games.
Yeah.
I don't see how Amir Garrett gets more than that.
Totally weird to me. So anyway, MLB's screwing it up there. And then we got my Kansas City Royals with my Mike Matheny Manager of the Year. He is now facing adversity officially. The Royals, as we expected, have hit earth, and they've hit it hard. They've lost 9 out of 10. They fall under 500. They are now in 3rd place. They were in 1st place at this time last week. The White Sox getting hot. They've won 7 out of 10. They're in 1st. And the Indians, somehow with no offense whatsoever, just continue to not be bad. They're in 2nd. So the Royals have fallen to earth hard. They're in 3rd place. Now, all of a sudden, you can start focusing on how they don't have an offense and they have a negative 31 run differential, and it's probably going to get worse. So 1 game under 500, negative 31 run differential. That does not indicate good things are ahead for a team like that. So Royals hitting earth. Now we move on to our injury portion here. Some big ones. This was a bad week for baseball injuries. Alex Kurilov, who, if you didn't get to watch him for the Twins, just phenomenal. I mean, it just really, he's one of those players who came onto the scene and he really, really struggled for like 6 weeks, 5-6 weeks. And then he got red hot, hit like 3 home runs, had a few doubles, and he's out with a wrist injury. And again, if it's a Yankee, if it's Andujar, for example, he's going to be out 2 or 3 months. For Kurilov, he's expected back next week. So we're talking a 2-week wrist injury. I've never heard of that in my life, but apparently if you're not a Yankee, that's possible.
Yeah. You have you got a couple of other big names on the injured list. You have Joey Votto, who was just getting hot. Joey Votto was, starting off good. He's looking like old Joey Votto. He's hurt. Gio Urshela, not on the IL, but he's hurt. Rougned Odor, Ronald Acuna Jr. That's a big one. And Jacob Degrom, who is not hurt. They said he's not hurt, but he's on the IL.
Yeah. So I feel like last year this happened too with Degrom, where he like just has these little naggers that
They
he
pushed him
misses, like,
back.
a foot or two.
I think his last start, they pushed him back a day.
Yeah.
What the hell? Are we still going? I
Anyway.
just got a notification that we're signed out. That's why.
No, it's still good from our end.
There.
Okay.
Yeah. So here's my thing on Degrom. This is a little bit of a hot take here. And I love Degrom. I hope obviously this doesn't happen to him. I'm just relating to Degrom based on age, because Jacob Degrom is how old?
32, 31, 32.
I'm going to make sure I get this right first. So Jacob Degrom, the big thing with him is that innings wise, he's basically still in his prime. He's like a 28-year-old. If you simply look at his innings on his arm, so his arm not really in jeopardy. Now he is 32 years old. He will be 33 on June 19th. I will be 34 on June 28th. Here's the one thing I'm going to say. When you hit your early to mid 30s, as I'm sure a lot of you can relate, it's not necessarily your arm if you're a pitcher. It's just the rest of your body can start to have these lingering little issues. And that's my main concern for Degrom as he heads into his mid 30s here, is that he might, like, his body is still in its mid 30s, even if his arm isn't, in terms of Major League Baseball. So it's things like your right lat and stuff, like, you can just wake up and get tighten up. I think you might see more of that. So if you're expecting Degrom to make his, 34 starts every year, that might start to go to the wayside a little bit. But obviously his arm is still in great shape, as evidenced by the fact nobody can touch him. But that's something I'm interested in monitoring. It's not really something you're going to pick up in analytics, obviously, is his body just in its mid 30s, and is that going to have an impact?
I think Jake is fine. He doesn't have a lot of innings on him. Those needles are still fresh. I mean, Jake is good.
Yeah, it's certainly not in any sort of insertion area. Is he going to get hurt? I guess they protect that well. So Degrom out, he should be back. I think he's only supposed to miss one start, which is now combined probably.
It's also smart. I think sometimes the teams have to protect themselves from themselves, and I think by putting Degrom on the IL, they guarantee that he's not doing anything for a couple of days. You know what I mean? I think it's one of those things where, let's outsmart ourselves, put him on the IL. Even if he says he's feeling better, he still needs a few days to go. A little extra rest can't hurt nobody right now.
Yeah, and the lat's not really something I'd mess with. It's kind of like the pitching version of the oblique to me, in that it's just, you don't want that to be an actual injury because it'll linger for a while. So just rest up a little bit, few days, get off your feet. And he should be back. But I am curious to see if these old nagging things, I feel like Scherzer is the same thing. He's got more innings than Degrom, but it's just these little naggers here and there that are going to, we'll see how often they happen. So those are our main injuries. There's Votto, Degrom, and Kurilov. Here's where we can go now. We're going to go around the league real quick, give you some updates. We have 2 games underway so far. Reds, Pirates. Suarez finally, thank God, hitting a home run. He has been just terrible this year. Jacob Stallings for the Pirates also has a home run, but the Reds up 3-1 in that game early on. Red Sox Orioles underway. They're in the third. Orioles are up 1-0. Ryan Mountcastle, maybe he's getting a little hot, hits a home run against the Red Sox, although I think he just always hits the Red Sox hard. So we will be monitoring those games as we go. And now we get to around the league in general. Let's take it left to right. We'll go AL East. Hey, Red Sox are your number 1 power rankings team now, 22-13, first place in the East. They're up 3.5 on the Yankees, who have moved into a tie with Tampa for second place in the East. They have your best record in the AL, which, if that continued the entire season, that means they're going to win the World Series. It happens every time. I don't think that's going to happen. But
you got to give them credit. They've been playing great ball out the gate. Goes back to managing. I'm telling you, a good manager makes a big difference. And I think that's what you're seeing here with that team on paper. They should not be this good. Offense is there. Pitching is not there. Not on paper, at least.
I think that they're definitely, the manager makes a difference. I mean, last year they obviously mailed it in. They weren't that bad. They played that bad. They had a lame duck manager. We all knew it was kind of a 60-game season, not a great sample size. They never looked good from the start. 2019, though, they also weren't very good. But this is a team, in my mind, I had battling 500. Their pitching is bad, and the metrics will back that up eventually. That's, I think, where you're going to see the major regression. Matt Barnes pitching like a Hall of Famer. That whole bullpen, we started to see some chinks in the armor. In that the bullpen, a little bit of collapsing going on, a little bit of regression. The rotation, though, is the big thing. Martin Perez is not going to be pitching like this. Nick Pivetta is not going to be pitching like this all year. Evaldi's not going to be pitching, period, all season. You do get Chris Sale back, and we'll see what Chris Sale is. I assume it's going to be a really good one because he's a freak. But I don't see the pitching keeping this up, but I did defend the hitting as far as the beginning of the season. They killed it in spring training. I think the hitting's for real. And for that reason, they should be a team that's going to be competitive. I just don't think that they're going to be able to last as long as either the Yankees, Rays, or Blue Jays by the end of the season. Take your pick.
I think Brian Horswood makes a good point, which I think they played the O's 12 times already this year.
Yeah, another Yankees and Red Sox have not played yet this season, and I believe they've played the Rays like once, maybe twice, probably once. I don't think they've played the Blue Jays either, so I'm curious. We can pull that up with the Red Sox schedule. I don't recall too many challenging games. I know they haven't played the like Astros either. But, credit to the Red Sox in that they are 22-13. Any stretch of schedule, that's the sign of a team that's not bad.
Today makes 10 times that they're playing the O's. I mean, look, that's what you're supposed to do, right? You're supposed to get fat off those teams. So they're doing what they're supposed to do. They played Detroit a few times. I mean, look, the schedule is the schedule. You know what I always say? You play who's on your schedule.
Right. And it'd be hypocritical to say otherwise. Yankees pitching against really, they're pitching against bad offenses and they're shutting them down. Well, that's what you want to do against bad offenses. That's a sign of good pitching. So you can't hate it there. But they've played the Rangers, Tigers, and Orioles so far. They do have the Athletics coming up after this series. So that should be a pretty nice test for them. If you go to April, they started with the Orioles. They did play the Rays once. They swept them. Orioles, Twins, they won 3 out of 4. But the Twins have been awful. So I don't know what that means yet. And the White Sox, of course, they split. So that was a nice series for them. They did play the Blue Jays. They split that. They won 3 out of, they split with the Mariners. They swept the Mets in a 2-game series, and the other one was the Rangers. So not a whole lot. I mean, I don't think it's any different than anyone else's schedule so far. But basically the good teams are playing 500. The bad teams are beating. So you add all that up, it could be a 90-win season if it continues. I just don't think the pitching will.
And the AL East is rising. I mean, every team in the AL East outside of the O's have a positive run differential. So. Yeah,
AL East getting tougher. Yankees have won 10 out of 12. They take 2 out of 3 from the Astros. They swept the Tigers. They took 2 out of 3 from the Nationals. They are on their way at this point. It looks like. I'm still not enamored with the offense. They weren't good against the Nationals. They weren't really good against the Astros. Obviously helped by that Bregman error in the first game. They can't seem to string 3 games together in a row where the offense looks good. That's been the one trend I've seen. But the pitching's been phenomenal. You're getting Luke Voit back apparently tomorrow is the rumor. And Miguel Andujar is back. He's struggling, but it's been 2 games. And then he got sent back down. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, he's on the alternate site. He got demoted. So typical Yankee fashion there. They want Tyler Wade over Miguel Andujar. Try and figure that one out. But yeah, you're getting Voit back tomorrow. That, I say a lot about Luke Voit. I don't like him in this offense, but he is better than the alternative. So we'll see how that goes. Gio's been out of the lineup. We'll see if him and Voit can stay on the field at the same time and see what that leads to. So there's some upside there for the Yankees. Rays 19-17 plus 1 run differential. They're basically playing exactly how they should based on the way that they've performed. Yankees Rays big series coming up starting tomorrow. That's a nice barometer for the Yankees before they have the Orioles and Rangers after that. So you take a series finally, if you're the Yankees from the Rays, you can really get on a run here, maybe get yourself like 10 games over 500. But we'll see. They can't beat the Rays, haven't for 2 years, so we'll see what happens. Jays 1 game over, 25 right. The offense is there, pitching is overachieved.
Yeah, they're right there. I mean, they scored 25 plus runs. And they're sitting in 4th place. It's a head scratcher. Their pitching came out the gate hard. I don't know what's going on with them lately.
It's a little scary because the pitching's doing so great and they're not really capitalizing off of it. So you have to be a little worried there. AL Central, Maddie's White Sox, man, they have turned it on. A little bit of cold water. Look, they've got a plus 53 run differential. That is fantastic. I mean, they are bludgeoning teams. They're 19-13. They're a game in first place. They've won 7 out of 10. All those are good. Here's my little bit of cold water for the White Sox. This goes back to an old Bill Simmons theory called the Ewing theory, that when you lose your best player, you have a little bit of an adrenaline surge afterwards. They just lost Louis Robert. They also obviously lost Eloy to start the season, but they lose him. And I think that's what you're seeing right now. They're performing really well without him, but I don't know if that's a long-term thing. But their pitching has been even better than the Yankees pitching. It's the best pitching in the AL. So if that continues, you can sustain it.
I wonder if there's a Hall of Fame player who was recently cut that might end up in Chicago with his old manager. I don't know. Just wondering.
Well, nothing much to say about the AL Central. Let's move to the AL West here. And that is, so you got Oakland still in first, Astros in second, at no help of losing 2 out of 3 of the Yankees. Mariners staying above 500 for now. That will, I'm sure, change because they're the Mariners, and once late May hits, their season ends.
Oakland, baby. Oakland still holding. I told you.
Yep. Right. This division shaping up exactly how we thought in the preseason.
You can ignore the run differential for Oakland because I think they started out the gate so far behind. So they
were negative 40 in the first 6 games. So look at it in that scope. They're plus 30 since.
Houston's going to outscore them on the season. That's how it's going to be. But I think Oakland finishes still in first place.
Yep. And then you've got the Angels. All right, I take it back. The Angels are the most disappointing team. Besides the Twins, who are 12-20, which is unfathomable to me, the Angels probably are the most disappointing team in the AL.
I didn't realize they were in last place.
Yeah, last place, only team under 500 in the entire division.
I honestly assume Texas was in last place.
Yeah, well, they should be. But the Angels have been that offense. I watch them every night because I've got Walsh and Trout on my fantasy team. That offense has been in a coma lately. If Trout's not hitting 420 on that team, they don't score. So like Ohtani's been the only one who's doing anything in that offense.
That team sucks.
Yeah, and the pitching's not good to begin with. They've lost 7 out of 10, negative 27 run differential now. It's a bad product.
It's Albert Pujols' fault.
So Albert Pujols, he was cut from the Angels, which I know we have 2 very, very, very galactically different views on this subject. So I'll let you start. Give me your little sign off for Albert Pujols. First of all, do you think he's going to catch on with another team? And second of all, just give me your overall thoughts on Pujols.
I think as a player, he's done. I think as a player, he's been done. Mm-hmm. I think what he's meant to this game, he deserved to go out on better terms than this. Now, we don't know what happens on the inside of their offices. Maybe they said, hey, retire, we'll still pay you your money. Maybe they said, be a consultant to the team, kind of like the Yankees did with A-Rod, and we'll still pay you your salary. Your salary will be whatever your amount. I don't know. I just think you have a guy like Albert Pujols, who is a first ballot Hall of Famer, who is probably the biggest threat to the GOAT of first base of all time, who had so many memorable moments. It feels wrong that he's going out this way. If there's a player that deserved a farewell tour, it's Albert Pujols. He deserved one. That man has put the Cardinals on his back. Say what you want about his Angels contract. I don't blame him for leaving the Cardinals. I mean, he got paid so much money, he had to take it. Albert Pujols has been the best player of this generation, period. Not Miguel Cabrera, not anyone else but Albert Pujols. He passed the mantle to Mike Trout, who is now the best player of the generation. And his career should end in a better way. This just leaves a really, really bad taste in my mouth as an Albert Pujols fan.
I agree in the sense, and this is nothing that's going to be earth-shattering. The optics by the Angels was piss poor. This is a guy, the Yankees, if you remember, in 2016, did this correctly. They announced a date of which Mark Teixeira would no longer be on the team. And Mark Teixeira is nowhere near Albert Pujols, but he is still a very reputable player. He was significant at the time. They announced A-Rod would be retiring from the team and be kept on as a consultant to earn the rest of his salary, essentially. Both of those independently are classy moves. You're paying A-Rod through his contract. You're keeping him to the team, but you're saying, hey, you are no longer even worth your roster spot. We're going in a different direction. And with Teixeira, they said, hey, we're forcing you to retire. I mean, if you remember Teixeira's press conference, he was sad. I don't think he was ready to retire, but they retired him. I don't have a problem with either one of those things with Albert Pujols. If the Angels wanted to say to Albert Pujols, we are going to retire you. Your roster spot is no longer useful to us. We have some guys we want to look at. We're going in a different direction. If they want to offer him a spot in the organization, if they want him to explore free agency, whatever it is. And the rumor from Angels fans, that some Angels fans, is that Pujols asked for this because he wants to chase some milestones. He wants more playing time. Fine. Either way, in either scenario, you have to have an exit plan from a PR standpoint, no pun intended. And they didn't do it. This can't be a Willie Randolph Mets situation where in the middle of the night, you're like, you're out. It's Albert Pujols. You have to give more respect to it. So in that sense, I agree with you. There had to be hey, Albert Pujols is playing his final week. Sunday's his final game. At least wherever he is in the world, you start him that day. It's the Angels. They're not going anywhere. And you have him get a send-off from whatever fans are in the crowd. If you're not going to give him a retirement tour, which, look, he hasn't earned it. He's way, way beyond his prime. But you had to do something. And to have a memo come out at like 7 p.m., whatever day of the week it was, to be like the Albert Pujols getting cut. I don't care if he even asked for it. That's just terrible optics. It's so bad, especially when you're a big market like the Angels playing in LA. I mean, teams like the Dodgers are going to laugh at this. Like they would never, like teams in big markets like this don't do it this way. And the Angels never seem to learn their lesson in that regard.
You have to eat the money. You have to do it ceremoniously. You have to handle this in a much better way. And like I said, Albert Pujols absolutely deserved better, man. I mean, this man's going to end his career with over 600 home runs, over 1,800 RBIs, 3,200 hits. I mean, this man is the best player we've seen in the last 20, 30 years, maybe.
Yeah, and I mean, that's the other thing. He shared some really big milestones with the Angels. Granted, a lot of them were without fans because they happened last year, but it's this is a guy who, I mean,
wait, he sells tickets because even when the Angels sucked, they were selling fucking 3-4 million tickets a year.
I was going to say he didn't earn his contract, but he still was a draw for a while with the Angels earlier in his tenure with the Angels. So this is a guy that, it's just bad optics. I mean, the Angels just do this. This is an organization with such a bad image in my mind. I don't think they nearly get the credit for how bad it should be. I mean, you've got drug scandals, death scandals. They can't develop pitching. They can't develop prospects. Joe Adell looks like a clown anytime he's on a field. I mean, there's so many bad things going on with this organization. This is a gimme, and they can't nail it. It's sad. What's that?
What do you think he does?
I think he will play again with a team. I think someone's going to sign him. It'll be a total PR thing like Tebow did on the Mets, but someone will sign him who's not contending, and he'll get some at-bats. He'll get some ovations from the crowd, and then that'll be it. I don't even know if he'll last the entire season. I think he has not played his last game yet. He can't go out like that.
If he stood with the Cardinals his whole career and this happened, I'd say you won't see him again. Because he's already put on another jersey, I think you'll see him again, and I think you'll see him with the White Sox.
White Sox... so Tony La Russa, who's the only man in baseball older than Albert Pujols, said that he has no interest. So we'll see. I get the fit. A team like Cleveland, like what are they using out their DH spot?
I would love to see him go back to St. Louis, but they don't have a need for him. They don't have a spot for him.
And they don't have a DH this season, which is the big price. He's got to stay in the AL in my mind. It's not going to be the Twins.
Point, the Angels still have Mickey Callaway and not Albert Pujols.
Yeah, great point. That's like, this is the stuff. I mean, you can be a bad organization who's not playing well, but you can totally avoid just being a bad organization. Right? The Angels are a bad organization. They have a PR issue. They don't make the correct decisions. This is how you become a toxic organization, and then players don't want to play there. And oh, by the way, they've got the best player of the last decade, and they are wasting his career. I mean, it doesn't tarnish Trout's legacy in my mind. It tarnishes the Angels' legacy while Trout was there by not being able to field anything remotely competitive around him for 10 years.
There you go. You bring him to the Yankees. and you sit him on the bench, and you just let him talk to some of these players. That's it. That's what I'm paying you for.
I'd take Pujols tomorrow as a batting coach. He wants to come here and just take over Marcus Thames' job. I'd take that in a heartbeat.
Imagine how much Mike Trout has learned from Albert Pujols.
Yeah.
Mike Trout, we know it's out of this galactic talent, but imagine how much you learn from sitting next to Albert Pujols every day.
If the Yankees didn't have the Stanton full-time DH thing, I would say, sure, why not? Pujols probably could still hit as well as like half this lineup right now. But yeah, he can't fit on the Yankees roster, but I would absolutely love him in the organization. I don't think anyone would turn that down. But if he's going to play again, like Baltimore, maybe.
Imagine Pujols without the goatee.
Well, he can wear a goatee on the Yankees. Common misconception. I don't know if he'd even have to trim it that much. But like Orioles, Indians, Royals, I don't know what their DH situation is.
Cleveland?
Shit, put him on the Tigers. Just let him join Mickey. Yeah, I mean, there's not that many landing spots for him. Texas, I feel like that'd be a random, somehow good fit.
You want to think it's a contender, but then the only teams that he fits are non-contenders. Seattle.
I think it's gonna be a non-contender. Honestly, I think it would just be a PR stint. By time he can sit with a bunch of young guys, like a Mariners type organization, and
he gets nothing out of this but baseball. He's getting his money regardless.
Yeah, and wherever he goes, he get league minimum. Same thing with Edwin Encarnacion when he got cut. Yankees took him; they only paid him league minimum, prorated for the rest of that season. So you're spending basically nothing. You're using a roster spot, which is why I think it has to be a non-contender, and you're getting basically a tutor, and you have to just give him some at bats. There's a fit there somewhere. I just don't know specifically where.
If I'm the Yankees, I give him some money and I say, "Yo, join our organization as a hitting instructor or something."
Yeah, in a heartbeat. They've done it with every other superstar. So that's the AL. We move to the NL. Mets back in first place over the Philly. No one wants to get a handle on that division at all. Mets are over 500. Phillies are over 500. Braves are up to 500, which pay attention to that. And then you got the Marlins and Nationals under 500. But that is just a very mediocre division right now that the Mets are capitalizing on. So good for them. -3 run differential, by the way, but 3 games.
Fourth with the only team with a positive run differential. Figure that one.
Yeah, Marlins plus 19. They're 3 games under.
Plus
It's a very weird division. NL Central is basically the opposite of the NL East for me so far this year, and it's very early, but they're playing a lot better than I thought they would.
Our Brewers lost the lead.
Who did?
Our Brewers.
Oh, yeah. Brewers, no. Cardinals are hot. 8 out of 10. Plus 23 run differential. There's 21-17, which is among the best records in baseball. They got hot. They're in first now. Brewers in second. Brewers doing their thing. Shitty run differential, but they win close games. It's kind of what their thing is. Same with the Rays. I don't pay too much attention to those run differentials. Cubs, shit on them all the time. They're 500 right now. So they're treading water, which is fine. I think they'll be a little worse than that when the year ends, but they won 7 out of 10. They beat the hell out of the Dodgers. So that's great. And here they are sitting in third place. It's not really any, I think one of us had third, one of us had fourth. So not really better, but they are 500. Reds underachieving as usual. Pirates in last as usual. And then we get to the West, which is really becoming interesting. You've got the Giants in first, 1.5. They're 20-14. So Giants and Cards, those are the two teams.
Before we continue, the Giants played their ass off last year. 60-game season, everyone said it was a fluke. We're 34 games into this, 34 games into the season, plus the 60 games. Maybe the Giants aren't a fluke after all.
They are that one team. I don't know what to make of them. I watch them on occasion. I have a very close friend who's a massive Giants fan, so I'm always getting updates from him. We obviously watch Mike Talkman together, but that lineup is pretty good. It's a pretty good lineup. They do a lot of things that you like, and the pitching in San Francisco, they seem to just be able to get like slightly above average pitching out of guys you think are bad. That's how I would phrase it. And then the Padres, 19-16. Padres and Dodgers have not taken off yet. Dodgers did. They came back to earth. Padres were underachieving, and then they got hot. Now they're okay. and then Arizona and Colorado rounding out that division. But the Giants in first, and they honestly, there's nothing so far in the way that they're playing that I don't think is sustainable. It's just their core, which fell so far, is now back to their potential.
We keep saying that, and yet they keep playing. I mean, at some point, it's got to be what it is.
Yeah, I'm along for the ride. There's some I think some passive aggressiveness in the comments that we kind of brushed over what Ohtani's doing. He's the best player on the Angels pound for pound right now. And that might include Mike Trout, but Trout and Ohtani, put it this way, are carrying that franchise.
Trout is the man on that team. I don't care what Ohtani is doing.
Ohtani has been healthy, which is the biggest thing. I haven't paid too much attention to the pitching side of things because he pitches like once a week sporadically, but I still think he should be a reliever, like a lights out back of the bullpen type reliever.
Day one.
Yeah. And, but it is often, I mean, he's crushing the ball. Mike Trout, obviously the best hitter on that team. And then you've got Jared Walsh having a nice season, but you put everything together with the Angels and they just never seem to have it. It's bizarre.
I had to look it up because I will always defend Mike Trout. Mike Trout is still having the best season of the two.
Yeah, what's he down to, like 370? Because he's been slumping a little bit.
376. How dare he?
Yeah.
Ohtani's hitting 100 points less.
Yeah, that was out of turn. I used a very 2018 Rookie of the Year logic there in saying that Ohtani's their best player because he also pitches, regardless of the offensive stats.
Across the board, it's Trout. It's always Trout. It will always be Trout.
What is Ohtani's pitching numbers, out of curiosity?
Yeah.
Because I know he's been hitting the ball well.
Ohtani, 18 innings pitched. He has a 14.46 K through 9, which is crazy.
Yeah, that's good.
He is walking a lot of batters. That's not good.
Not good.
I mean, he's okay. I don't think he's pitching as lights out as Angel fans will lead you to believe. He's got a 2.41 ERA, but it's very limited innings.
Yeah, I mean, they pick and choose their battles with him and always have.
Like I said, with him, you put him in the bullpen and you have a lights out reliever. That's what you do.
Yeah, we're in agreement there. I don't think Eddie agrees with us. I think he should be like an 8th, 9th inning guy. He should be a shutdown reliever. I think that would improve his walks and his strikeouts because you could just fling it while you're out there. And he can only pitch either from the stretch or from the windup, and you simplify things. And as far as subbing him out, if you had to, it's just easier if it's later in the game. You know you're getting 7 innings out of him in the field, and you can probably switch him back to the field if you wanted to. You could play first base for 2 innings.
Not only that, you can only get 18 innings out of him. It's so sporadic that I think you're doing him a disservice too.
Yeah, well, he's pitched 18 innings. We're in mid-May. So if he pitched as a reliever 2-3 days a week, 2 innings a pop, you're talking 6 innings a week, he'd be pitching way more.
Yeah.
So you're maximizing his pitching.
The dude's lights out. He throws triple digits up on. Put him in a fucking bullpen.
What I'm saying, they won't do it. They're the Angels. Reds update. They are now running away with it. They're up 7-1 on the Pirates, and the Red Sox have tied it against the Orioles thanks to a sac fly by Rafael Devers. So there you go.
Joey throwing some shade, looking to sleep on the couch tonight.
Yeah, well, it's a good point. Angels do have to have leads towards the end of the game for them to be useful at all. So let's get in here to our last 2 segments here. This one, our dong of the week, we did not forget. We talked about how walk-offs were hot. We mentioned the Braves and the Yankees. We did not mention this walk-off earlier in the week. This is the Oakland Athletics, your first place AL West Athletics. Rob, how are we doing on this highlight?
Rob fell asleep.
Rob is off the
No,
grid.
I'm still here. Just give me a second.
Okay.
Rob's with his dong.
This is it's getting really festive for Dong of the Week. Seth Brown, who, if you're a casual baseball fan, you may have no idea who that is. I only know him because I had him for a second on my dynasty team. Guy with a lot of power who has kind of just hit his way into a situation with the A's, which is basically the moral of the Oakland Athletics in general. Is like you get these guys out of nowhere who just continuously hit. 1-1 game, 9th inning. This is against the Rays. Thank you, Oakland, because we needed this one. That is what you call a walk-off.
Fucking towering shot.
Our dong of the week, Seth Brown. That's a bomb in Oakland with the walk-off. So Oakland also had a walk-off this week. His 4th home run of the season. And this is a guy who's only playing sporadically. So he's got big-time power. This time a big-time hit. Oakland wins. They beat the Rays 2-1 in very Rays Athletics fashion with that score. And now we move to our final segment. Boneheaded of the week. And Henry, I'm going to let you take this one because you spotted it. It's Finders Keepers.
Boneheaded of the week. Boston, what are you doing, baby? You cannot sell Yankee gear in Fenway Park's official Red Sox team store. Absolute no. Somebody needs to be fired. That is just a travesty, and I'm sure the Yankees are laughing their profits all the way to the bank. Absolutely bonehead of the week. That shit is absolutely brutal. Cannot happen. Multiple people, someone's getting fired for that shit.
Need I remind you, this is the same organization who plays the Mets and chants Yankees suck. If those were Yankees suck shirts, obviously that's just cute.
That makes sense. Yeah.
I was outside of Fenway once and saw the infamous Johnny Damon throws like Mary, looks like Jesus.
Yeah.
It's something else on it, but those types of shirts are fine. You can't just sell straight up Yankee gear in the Red Sox team store in Fenway Park.
It's Johnny Damon's Judas. Acts like Judas, throws like Mary.
Yes, yeah. That's like one of my favorite shirts of all time. Also, Jeter sucks A-Rod. That was like those are classics.
Those are cool. I like those. Like you got like in Yankee Stadium, stands, you have the Boston Sox Hawk. Those are funny. But you can't sell officially licensed merchandise of your biggest rival at your team store. That's just so boneheaded.
Will not.
By the way, I got overridden because I was gonna choose Giancarlo Stanton's multiple bombs against the Astros as dongs of the week because them shit savagely hit.
It was strange. We were talking about that throughout that, the first 2 games. That Stanton murdered the Astros, and he was red hot. I mean, it wasn't just the Astros. He was hot for 10 games into that series, was red hot the first 2 games, and they just kept on pitching to him.
He's still hot, and he's kind of cooled off, but still insanely hot.
Yeah, I mean, he cooled off to the tune of a walk-off.
Yes, May 10th, but I will remind all of you motherfuckers watching Dong City. I will remind you. I said, Vince, what did I say?
You said Giancarlo Stanton, MVP.
And everyone laughed at me, right? Well,
they did.
May 10th, fuck off. Maybe it looks different June 10th, but May 10th, I'm saying fuck off.
There you go. He stays healthy. The sky's the limit. He's got to stay healthy.
We have a request. Next week, can we just skip the Angels completely? Just skip them all.
You try and avoid them as often as possible, but every so often they're newsworthy. Can't hate on that.
We got to keep Eddie here, so we got to mention the Angels.
Yeah. So, well, that'll do it for us. Nothing much to report. That was a big week. A lot happened this week. Hopefully it did keep up. And you guys enjoy your baseball for this week. We'll be back next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. We have I'm going to screw this up. The Audible, 7 p.m. tomorrow. Tuesday, football. Yep. Randy Hammond, Matt Bushnell. Wednesday, the step back.
Nope,
they're Friday right now. Okay. So is Wednesday open?
Wednesday is open.
Oh, I got to remember that. Thursday, you got work shoot 8 p.m. 8 p.m. And step back is what, 8 p.m. or 7 p.m.?
I don't know, but let's just say it's Friday. I think.
Yeah, I swear, Leon, I am not throwing shade at you. I just have the short-term memory of a gerbil. So, because he even said it to me directly. He's like, "This is when the step back is," and you have to talk to me like I'm 4. So the step backs are on Friday, and but join us next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Dong City.
Total bases
on Sunday. I need like a Tony Romo cheat sheet for my wrist.
Dude, come on, get with it. Who's drinking? You or me?
They're like mid-morning. I feel like they're usually on like 10, 11 a.m.
They're noon my time, so I think Felipe's time that's 11.
Okay, so that's your fantasy version of baseball. Next Monday, 7 p.m. Eastern time, Dong City. Join us, everyone. Have a great night.
Dong City, bitches.